Hi CCC family, it's Dawn Marie with Custom Comfy Crochet, and today we're going to learn how to make this really cute wormy worm. And so it also has removable hair clips, and I'm going to have another video that shows you how to make these hair clips. I will link that in the description box below. I'm going to also upload that to YouTube, but it would have made this video too long to do them both. And I wanted to make sure that if someone just wanted to make the hair clip and didn't want to make the wormy worm, they would have that. These are also for sale in my Etsy shop in case you don't want to make them, and they come with 3 of the interchangeable hair clips with them. Just wanted to let you know that. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hit that notify me bell below if you haven't already so that you can get notified of my future videos. And please like, share, and subscribe. That helps more than anything. So let's get into our materials. So for our materials today, you're going to need that chunky yarn and that 8mm hook. You're also going to need a 3.5mm hook to go with your smaller yarn. And that smaller yarn I'm using today is a lightweight DK yarn. It's an Amigurumi yarn, and it looks like this. I found it on sale at Ollie's. You're also going to need a darning needle, and you're going to need a pair of scissors. We're going to use just some yarn for stuffing, so you don't need stuffing. You're going to need some black yarn for the mouth, and you will need a hair clip for the hair clips, but that's for if you really want to do that. And then I'm using button eyes. So let's get into our tutorial. We're going to use our lightweight yarn and our 3.5mm hook. We're going to make a magic circle, and then we're going to put 6 single crochets into our magic circle. 1, 2, and 6. And then you're going to pull your magic circle tight, and then we're going to be working in the round, meaning we're just going to go right into our next stitch. We're not going to slip stitch. And when we go into that first stitch there, we're going to make 2 single crochets. 1 and 2. Then you're going to put 2 single crochets in each stitch around for a total count of 12. So what I like to do is just count to 12, and then I know that I've reached the amount of stitches that I need. After you put 2 stitches all the way around for a count of 12, you're going to put your stitch marker in, because we're going to do some increases. So after you put in your stitch marker, you're going to go into your next stitch and you're going to put 1 single crochet, and into the next you're going to put 2 single crochets. Into the next stitch you're going to put 1 single crochet, and into the next stitch you're going to put 2 single crochets. You're going to do that all the way around for a stitch count of 18. On your last stitch, you should pull out your stitch marker and you should be working 2 single crochets right there. After you work your last stitch, put your stitch marker back, and now we're going to increase another round. So go into your very next stitch, put 1 single crochet, into the next 1 single crochet, and into the next 2 single crochets. And again, 1 single crochet in the next stitch, 1 single crochet in the next, and then 2 single crochets in the next. And you're going to keep doing that all the way around. And you should have a stitch count of 24. When you get to the end of your round, you should have 2 single crochets in that last stitch. You want to put your stitch marker back, and then we're going to increase again. Now what we're going to do is we're going to put a single crochet in our very next stitch, a single crochet in our very next stitch, a single crochet in the next for 3, and then in the next stitch you're going to put 2 single crochets. And again, 1 single crochet in the next stitch, 1 single crochet in the next, 1 single crochet in the next, and then 2 single crochets. And you should have a stitch count of 30 at the end of this round. Okay, so now we're at the end of this round. We're going to put our stitch marker back, and now we're going to increase again. You're going to put 1 single crochet into your next 4 stitches, and then you're going to put 2 single crochets in your next stitch. And then you're going to repeat that all the way around, and you should have a stitch count of 36 by the end of this round. Okay, so we finished that round, and we're going to do one more round of increase. So in the next 5 stitches, you're going to put 1 single crochet. Then after that, you're going to put 2 single crochets. So there's 2, 3, 4, and 5 single crochets, and in the next stitch 2 single crochets. So just keep doing that all the way around, and you should have a stitch count of 42 when you're done. So now we finished our last round of increase, and now we're going to start working on the tail of our worm. So we're going to chain 35. After you chain 35, you're going to work into the 4th chain from your hook. 1, 2, 3, 4. Into the 4th chain, I want you to put a double crochet, and in that same chain, I want you to put 2 more double crochets. And in the next chain, you're going to put 3 double crochets. And you're going to keep doing that all the way up. And this is what's going to make your spiral for the bottom of your wormy worm. So you just keep putting 3 double crochets in each chain along until you get to the top, and I'll meet you back up again. Okay, so we're on our very last stitch of the tail for our wormy worm. And it's going to look a little bit funky right now. It's going to look, but we're going to fix it and make it look right. So in this last stitch, we're going to put our 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. And then you're going to slip stitch, and you're going to slip stitch right there where you started your tail for your wormy worm, and that stitch right next to it is where we're going to make our slip stitch. So just pull through. And then you're all done with this part of your worm. So I want you to cut off a very long piece because we're going to use this to sew the other side of it together. So just pull it out and you have that long piece for sewing. So now I'm just going to take the tail of the wormy worm. I'm just going to make sure that everything is curling in the right direction. So as you can see, I'm just kind of turning it to go the right way. So now we're going to place our doll eyes, button eyes, whatever you call them, right where they need to go. I'm using my other wormy worm as a map for where I need to put these. I went up about 5 rounds and then 2 rounds over from the center, and that's where I put my doll eye. And I'm going to do the same thing for the other side. And these can be kind of hard to push through, especially when you're using a lightweight yarn like this Amigurumi yarn where it's worked very closely together. As you can see, I'm just counting up, doing the same thing for the other side. And then I'm going to put the clips on the back to make sure that they stay exactly where they're supposed to. Now I'm going to take my black yarn. I'm using a lightweight yarn for this as well. I'm just going to pull it right through to make the mouth. I'm just making a line. You can put it wherever you want to. I did go up about 3 rows, and then you just tie it off in the back. You don't have to work any of your ends in, especially these, because they're going to be right in the center, and we're going to be sewing this together and stuffing it. So all of your ends are going to be in the inside of that, okay? Now we're going to work on the other side of our wormy worm. We're going to use our big hook and our big yarn, and we're going to make a magic circle. And into this magic circle, we're going to do 6 single crochets. So there's 1, and then 2, and 6, and then you're going to pull your magic circle tight, And then we're going to be working in the round again, meaning we're not going to slip stitch. We're going to go right into that first stitch and we're going to put 2 single crochets, and then we're going to put 2 single crochets in each stitch around for a count of 12. Then when you get done with that round, you're going to put in your stitch marker and we're going to do a round of increases. So you're going to go into your next stitch, put 1 single crochet, into the next put 2 single crochets, into the next 1 single crochet, into the next 2 single crochets. You're going to keep doing that all the way around until you have a stitch count of 18. Once you finish this round, that will be our last round of increases, and as you can see, that's going to fit right behind the front of our wormy worm. Now we're going to chain 25 for the tail. So chain 25. After you chain 25, you're going to go into the 4th chain from the hook and you're going to put 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. And then in your next chain, you're going to put 3 double crochets. And you're going to keep doing that in each chain all the way up. And this also is going to create that curvy texture that you need for the bottom of your worm. So you keep working all the way up and I'll meet you back in just a second. Okay, so now we're on our last stitch and we're working our last 3 double crochets. And just like you did for the other side of the wormy worm, we're going to slip stitch into that stitch right next to our first stitch. So there's our first. So right next to that, we're going to put a slip stitch. And then when you cut off this time, you just need to leave enough that you're going to put into the middle of the head there. You're not going to work it in, but then just pull it through, okay? And then I'm going to show you what we're going to do. We're going to put this middle right there, but then we are going to just work this in long enough to get it up towards the middle, okay? So you're just going to push it through right through the side and push it through up to the middle so that it can fit right inside of where we're going to sew everything together. And then I'm just going to again take the bottom, the tail of our wormy worm, and I'm just going to make this ringlet exactly the way I want it to. I'm just turning it to where it's just nice the way it needs to be. Now we're going to sew these together and we're going to place all of our ends right there in the middle except for that long piece that we left to do the sewing, okay? So then we're going to take that long piece that we have left and we're going to put that on to our darning needle and we're going to sew these two together, okay? So you're going to see that you obviously have a lot more stitches in this the blue front because it was used with a smaller hook. But it doesn't really matter. You're just going to sew all the way around. You're going to miss some stitches and that's fine. There's not going to be any holes left or anything. But I'm going to show you right here what I'm going to do. So the method you're going to use to sew this together is just in and out. You're just going in and out of the stitches. This is a way of doing it so that you don't really see anything from the side. So you're just going down and out and then coming back through a stitch and going in and out the other way. Okay, so just pay close attention to what I'm doing here. You're not really sewing it together so that you can see the stitches. It's so the stitches are invisible. And as you can see, I'm missing some stitches as I go along on purpose, just so that it will go correctly. Okay, so you know, I'll miss like 3 or 4 stitches and then I'll go into the next and go through the bigger, puffier stitch and then go through the back. I hope that makes sense. So I've gone all along the side with my needle and thread, and now I have a very small opening left here on the side that I've left because I want to take some of this puffy thick yarn, and I'm just going to take about a handful of it, and I'm just going to stuff the inside of the worm head there. I'm not using any stuffing. It's really not necessary because it's so small. You can just stuff that yarn right in and then finish sewing up, and you'll be all done with the top there. After you finish sewing everything together, you're going to work this piece right into the middle of the top of the head here. You're going to go in and out of the same place so you can't see the yarn, and then you're going to do that several times until you feel like it's worked in good, and then you can cut off. Now you're going to take the tail of the blue part of your worm, the lighter DK yarn, and you're going to work that around the other tail just like this. So it's just going to fit nice and snugly around the other end. Just keep winding it around. Now you're going to take your darning needle and you're just going to pick up the sides of the chunkier yarn on the top of the head here, and you're just going to pull them out ever so slightly. You're not going to tug on them too hard, just enough to pull them out so that you can see them from the top, because that's also where you're going to put your hair clip. It's going to fit right into one of these little spaces here. Voila, you have a beautiful little wormy worm. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions or comments, you can obviously leave them below in the YouTube comments section, but you can also find me on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and I have a Gmail, and that's all in the description box below. You can find me at all those places, and I look forward to hearing from you and seeing your finished projects as well. Happy crocheting! See you again soon. Bye-bye.